Britain's Prince Philip died today at 99 years old.
He was one of the best royals, if I'm honest.
Queen Elizabeth's husband was just months away from his 100th birthday. Cyril Vinay is live in London with more on his passing.
The UK is a country in mourning after Prince Philip, the 99-year-old Duke of Edinburgh, passed away here at Windsor Castle earlier today in the morning. It was announced by Buckingham Palace with the traditional form of pinning a notice to the gates of the official residence of the Queen in London, announcing that he had passed away. That happened at around about lunchtime, and since then we've seen his eldest son, Prince Charles, arrive here at Windsor Castle a couple of hours ago to visit his mother, who is said to be in deep sorrow at this time. Well, the Duke of Edinburgh, as I was saying before, passed away just a couple of months away from his 100th birthday, but there had been speculation about his health recently as he became more and more advanced in age. He had spent around about a month in hospital, various London hospitals, for a couple of medical conditions, including treatment for a pre-existing heart condition. Throughout the month of March, he was released to recuperate here at Windsor Castle around about 3 weeks ago. We now know that sadly he has passed away. Well, traditionally when you have royal bereavements like this, the country would have strict protocols for big state funerals. But because at the moment the UK is a country that is currently in lockdown, that is not going to happen in the usual way. Buckingham Palace and also the other royal palaces have told people, as have the government, to try and avoid laying floral tributes here. What they've recommended instead is to donate to some of the Duke's favourite charities, by which he was able to make such a big impact on this country and beyond. Live from Windsor, I'm Nina Dos Santos. Back to you.
Here at home, the crew of the Hokulea is also mourning today. Friends and family confirm that Chad Kalepa Babayan has died.
Aloha, this is Kalepa Babayan on board the Hokulea.
Babayan was an instrumental member of the Hokulea crew dating back to 1975 when he was just 19 years old. He said, quote, "When I first saw Hokulea, it just grabbed my heart. I knew that if there was anything in my life that I wanted to do, it was sail on her." The Hokulea website says he served as captain and navigator for 8 voyages. He was also the navigator in residence at UH Hilo's Imiloa Astronomy Center. Babayan did not back down from confrontation. He was a strong supporter of the 30-meter telescope, despite fierce backlash from many in the Native Hawaiian community. We'll have much more on his life and legacy throughout the day here at Hawaii News Now on air and online. Yet another passing to report. Rapper and actor DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, has died at the age of 50. He had been on life support following a reported heart attack last week. Stephanie Elam reports.
DMX was the first and only rapper to have his first 5 albums consecutively debut at #1 on Billboard. But his successful music career was riddled with arrests and drug abuse, stemming from what he says was a childhood of abuse and betrayal. Born in Mount Vernon, New York in 1970, DMX and his family moved to Yonkers for more affordable housing when he was a child. Trouble started early. He spent much of his youth in and out of group homes and juvenile centers, he wrote in an autobiography published in 2002. According to him, his first run-in with the law and detention came at just 7 years old. Among his nights in a juvenile detention center as a teen, DMX wrote he found a way to escape his troubled reality: music. He sat down with GQ magazine in 2019, where he opened up about overcoming the abuse he suffered as a child. He entered into rehab, even sat down with Iyanla Van Zant.
Do you have a drug problem now?
I will always have a drug problem.
Tell me about that.
Just because you stop getting high doesn't mean that you don't have the problem, because it's a constant fight every day.
While his story was troubled, he remained a man of faith, never giving up his quest to become better.
Japan Airlines says it has retired its fleet of 13 Boeing 777s a year earlier than planned. It had already suspended operations after an engine on a United plane from Denver headed to Hawaii shedded debris. Back in February in the U.S., the FAA ordered an immediate inspection of the 777 planes with a Pratt & Whitney engine. This came after the NTSB found a cracked fan blade on that United flight. and said it was consistent with metal fatigue. Here's CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg with more details.
Japan Airlines had reported they had incidents on their 777s powered by those engines. Now, Japan Airlines has announced they are retiring. They're parking forever all of their 777s powered by those engines. The initial NTSB investigation into that fan blade disintegration indicates deeper problems. And out of an abundance of caution, the Japanese at least are saying, we're not flying the plane again, not powered by those engines. No decision yet on any of the U.S. airlines, United being one of them, that are still powered by those engines on their 777s. We'll stay on top of that.
And in other aviation news regarding a different plane, Boeing is telling some airlines to stop flying its 737 MAX jets after finding a new issue with them. It is an electrical problem this time. It is working with the Federal Aviation Administration to address it. Southwest Airlines says it has pulled its 30 jets from service because of the issue. American has grounded 17 planes. This is just the latest problem for Boeing's MAX planes. They were grounded for nearly 2 years following a pair of crashes that killed more than 350 people. The FAA lifted that order last November after Boeing fixed the flight's control system. Southwest says it needs all flight attendants back at work this summer. Howard Dykes has the details, new at noon.
In another sign air travel is rebounding, Southwest has told 3,000 flight attendants and pilots on voluntary leave it will need them back on the job by this summer. Southwest was able to avoid involuntary layoffs and furloughs that other airlines imposed during last year's downturn. That was after 4,000 of its 61,000 employees took buyouts and early retirement packages. The ones taking voluntary leave kept reduced pay and benefits. But with air travel and bookings coming back, Southwest says it will recall all flight attendants who are currently on voluntary leave, more than 2,700 of them, as well as about 700 pilots. For This Is Now, I'm Howard Dykes.
Thanks, Howard, for that update. Got another piece of information I want to pass along new at noon. This is a house fire scene happening in the Kapahulu area. This is on near James Street. HFD responding shortly before 10 a.m. We have a crew there on scene, as you can see. And as soon as we get any more details, we'll be sure to pass them along to you on our HNN digital platforms. Meanwhile, we have even more breaking news coming into the HNN Digital Center, this time from the State Department of Health.
The State Department of Health is reporting 87 new cases today and no new fatalities. The breakdown by island shows 4 cases on the Big Island, 11 on Maui, 67 on Oahu, and 5 residents were diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, a longtime state official claims the Department of Health is being mismanaged, and that's encouraging corruption. As our Rick Desog reports, the whistleblower says he's had enough.
The Department of Health's Food Safety Branch Manager, Peter Oshiro, is making strong allegations. In a report sent to state lawmakers and the media, he accuses some of his fellow DOH managers of lining their pockets, of incompetence, and shocking fiscal improprieties that went ignored by top leadership.
Year after year, the same things happen over and over again. It's kind of just amazing to watch how nobody seems to care, or nobody has any need to actually safeguard the state's and the taxpayers' money. They are totally mismanaged and dysfunctional at this point.
Oshiro's worked at the state health department for 33 years. Right now, he heads inspections for restaurants and grocery stores. He says his boss, DOH Deputy Director Keith Kawaoka, hasn't hired a division administrator for about 5 years. So each month, Oshiro says he and other managers have been given temporary promotions at higher pay to be acting administrators.
It becomes lining their pockets, because all these managers know that every time you do this, you get a pay raise.
He says the department wastes hundreds of thousands of dollars with these and other cases of mismanagement. In another instance, the department bought this theft alarm, paying $277 a month for about 5 years. That's a total of about $20,000, but the department never turned it on.
Oh my God, this system has never been set since the day it was installed. Not once was it ever activated.
He thinks the department should be audited by an independent agency. The head of the House Health Committee agrees.
We are very open to looking at audits and both managerial and fiscal as we move forward, especially for next year.
Health Director Libby Chard declined to address Oshiro's allegations, but issued this statement. Quote, "It is unfortunate that this employee felt sharing his personal perspectives with legislators was the best way to resolve his concerns." Oshiro says that not only were there fiscal irregularities, but he says the department isn't fulfilling its core mission of protecting the public. For instance, the department's Food and Drug Branch is supposed to conduct inspections of local drug and food manufacturers and the fast-growing medical cannabis industry.
In 2 years, none of these people have been inspected.
Environmental watchdog Carol Cox says Oshiro's boss Keith Kawaoka should be removed.
It jeopardizes the public's health and welfare in the worst way.
Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
Out-of-state travelers will soon have to take a second COVID test after arriving on Maui. Mayor Mike Victorino says Governor Ige approved his proposal. Rapid tests will be administered at Kahu'ului's airport and the county will pay for it. If Trans-Pacific travelers refuse the test, they'll have to quarantine for 10 days. This post-arrival test does not apply to inter-island travelers. Victorino wanted to start the program today, but it won't begin until later this month. Meanwhile, the cluster at King's Cathedral on Maui now includes 77 infections. That's up from 55 just last week. Some of these cases are so-called spillover cases. That means infections are spreading into the community from the primary source. Last week, the Department of Health advised the church to cancel in-person services, but the church still allowed people inside the facility on Good Friday and Easter. Virtual and drive-through services were also offered.
A deadly fight involving tourists on the Big Island may have started when the victim refused to wear a mask. That's according to a police detective who testified in court yesterday.
We observed a lot of empty beer bottles.
The manslaughter case against Benjamin Fleming of Pittsburgh continued with new testimony, revealing that Fleming and two friends were drinking at a Kona bar, and that's when Abhishek Gupta was reportedly kicked out for being too drunk.
People were telling Abe to wear his mask, and apparently he wasn't wanting to do that. So he said the same argument continued back at the unit.
Tensions between the friends rose as they all eventually made their way back to their Airbnb rental. There, Gupta allegedly started punching Alexander Germany Wald, who later told police Fleming stopped to restrain Gupta.
He said he was able to restrain him by putting him in what he said was some type of a headlock or sleeper hold, and said he wasn't sure what he did, but said within 5 seconds that Mr. Gupta was literally asleep. He said Mr. Fleming very, very cautiously lowered him to the ground, undid the headlock, and they said that they could hear him snoring.
An autopsy confirmed he died of strangulation. Fleming is due back in court next Thursday.
My full name is Andrew Michael Baker.
On the 10th day of the Derek Chauvin murder trial, more testimony from key medical experts. The medical examiner who performed George Floyd's autopsy took the witness stand, telling jurors what he determined to be the cause of death.
Homicide in my world is a medical term.
Forensic pathologist Dr. Lindsay Thomas reviewed the report, was asked if she agreed with those findings.
There's no evidence to suggest he would have died that night, except for the interactions with law enforcement.
Jurors were handed autopsy images showing injuries Dr. Thomas says Floyd sustained as the former Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck for more than 9 minutes.
All of the things that he's using, his muscles, his strength, his body, it's kind of a double whammy to his heart and lungs and muscles and his whole system.
In cross-examination, the defense raised questions about the restraint that Chauvin used.
Is the prone position on concrete inherently dangerous?
Again, with no other factors, as long as someone can breathe, no.
Right. I could be laying by the pool in Florida, right?
Right.
On my stomach in the prone position, not inherently dangerous.
Right.
George Floyd was not laying by the pool on his stomach in Florida, was he?
No.
Dr. Thomas also testified Floyd's death was not a result of a drug overdose or underlying health conditions, as the defense has suggested. Other medical experts who took the stand this week expressed similar opinions.
China's armed forces conducted air and sea operations around Taiwan this week. Analysts are calling it a warning to the self-ruled island and its supporter, the United States. David Culver reports.
China is pushing back against claims made by the U.S. that it is intimidating Taiwan. They say the U.S. is stirring up trouble. Now, all of this has to do with the self-ruled democracy, the island about 500 miles off the coast from where we are here in Shanghai. Of course, China considers it to be part of its sovereignty. Meantime, the U.S. reaffirming under the Biden administration just this week through the State Department and its spokesperson that their relationship with Taiwan is rock solid. And proof of that may be in the military exercises that have been going on over the past week or so. Started with Chinese naval vessels in the region. They were just east of the island, and they were conducting what appeared to be exercises that could show the ability to cut off any support that Taiwan may receive from its eastern borders. Now, for its part, the U.S. has even brought in a carrier strike group through the South China Sea and through the Taiwan Strait. Now, that angers China even further. And just today, we heard from China's foreign ministry. They consider this to be the U.S. crossing the line when it comes to Taiwan. They warn them not to do that. They go on to say the U.S. should not play with fire. That's how serious, of course, they're looking at this. China has always considered this to be the red line, and President Xi Jinping has vowed that Taiwan, under his rule, will not become independent. And it's not just the U.S. and China that are focused on what's happening with Taiwan. Arguably one of the strongest allies for the U.S. in the region, Japan, closely watching this as well because they believe that should China make a move on Taiwan militarily, that could threaten the stability of this region. David Culver, CNN, Shanghai.
Thanks, David, for that update. We'll be sure to follow those developments here at This Is Now. Other thing we're watching is the weather, of course. That's because, see that little bouncing around we've been seeing all week? Well, I hear those trade winds may be going away. Here's Guy Hoggy with your weekend forecast.
How's it on this Aloha Friday? We are looking at some really nice weather. We've got trade winds in control today, and that's why we are seeing some windward and Mauka showers. Now, those showers are going to be brief. They're moving along at a good pace, so rainfall totals will be limited. We won't see a whole lot of rain for leeward sides, and those trade winds will run smooth today, weaker than they were yesterday. They'll be weaker still tomorrow because tomorrow we lose the trade winds, and there'll be a handful of weather changes with that too. But for today, beautiful trade wind weather, a few windward and Mauka showers, lots of leeward sunshine, and the high surf alert has been canceled, although there's still a small craft advisory for the waters around the Big Island. Swells are on the way down, but look forward to building swell over the South Shores over the weekend. It's not going to be real big, but we are expecting a bump for South Shores over the weekend, and that's good news for all the townies. So we got beautiful weather. Trade winds today, but we lose the trade winds for the weekend, and that means afternoon clouds and maybe a few afternoon showers, especially on Saturday, and some of that moisture might linger into Monday. And on Monday, the trade winds return. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Well, the world is still reacting to the passing of Prince Philip, obviously a influential figure and character that we have followed so much here on This Is Now over the years that we have been on the air. That is a live picture coming to us from Windsor Castle right there in the UK. I wanted to show you something we dug up from our archives. This is an old Star Advertiser cover photo spread, and you can see this is from when Prince Philip and the Queen visited the islands back in 1963 after a stop in Fiji. More than 4,500 people came out to greet them. The article says she was given a lei from then Governor John Burns. Duke Kahanamoku and his wife were also there to greet the royal couple. I mean, it's heartbreaking to me as well, because you know how much of a big royal fan I am, and just following their life so much. And the Crown, their fictional life that is played out in the Crown, has just been fascinating.
Yeah, that's back when it was the Honolulu Advertiser.
Oh yeah, I didn't even catch that. You're right, before the merger.
And so Facebook is hoping to reduce confusion on its platform. The social media site will now label posts from specific pages on people's news feeds, meaning posts from satire pages, fan pages, and public official pages will be labeled to show people where content is actually coming from. Facebook says the new program is in the testing phase now, and this isn't the first time Facebook has tried to give users more context around posts they read. Last year, it started labeling content from state-controlled media outlets. I think this will be really useful because people post stories they think is actually news stories, and it's not. So.
Yeah, those Onion articles get me every time.
I know.
I'm kidding.
And Stranger Things fans, this is pretty cool. A WNBA team pulled its newest jersey theme from the Upside Down world. Now, the Indiana Fever gave fans a preview of its new jerseys on Twitter. Fans of the sci-fi show know that the fictional town of Hawkins is based in the Hoosier State. Now, the new jersey features a red and black design inspired by the show's alternate dimension. The team's name also uses the Stranger Things font. The WNBA partnered with Nike for this and other uniforms in honor of the league's 25th anniversary.
You said it because I was going to, for our podcast listeners, that iconic Stranger Things 80s font is everything. It really makes this jersey rock. I love it. I want one. Some action you can take part in at Aloha Stadium, right?
Back here at home, there's a new attraction that's coming to the stadium this month. It's a drive-in laser light show. Casey Lund filed this story overnight.
Very excited to be here. This is a very cool event for families here in Honolulu. I want to get right to Jeremy Kwiatkowski with us from Cabin Fever Laser Light Show. I got to tell you, Jeremy, this is pretty awesome what we're seeing here. We've got some of the smoke rolling in, even a little bit of rain. You know, I can't help but think for folks that have been cooped up all year long inside, what an event this is. What made you want to bring it to Hawaii?
Well, obviously, Hawaii is a beautiful state, and we any excuse we can make to come here, we're going to do it. But the Hawaiian people are fantastic. We feel like they're our ohana when we're here. So thank you all for having us. Aloha, everybody.
And so tell me how this works. So you pull in. It's a drive-in show here at Aloha
Stadium. Like a drive-in movie. You pull in, you park. You can sit, according to regulations, you can sit in the back of a pickup truck, or you can sit on your car. However, there are restricted a little bit of people kind of sitting around their car. So we have to sit on your car or in the back of a pickup truck. But drive-in movie style. Enjoy the show. It's 40 minutes of nonstop laser action.
This is pretty cool. And then I just want to put some information up on folks' screen really quickly here. So we're running this really through the month of April. Can you give me the dates?
Yeah, sure. So we started yesterday, and we run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. Next week it's through the 15th through the 18th. And then the following week will be the 22nd through the 25th. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 7:30 and 9 o'clock, and then on Friday and Saturday we also have a third show at 10:30.
I love that, and I think that starting at $39 per vehicle, you have a family of four. That's
we want
really
to make it very
affordable.
inexpensive. You know, $7-8 a piece if you got family of four, maybe a little less if you got a family of five. If you can fit 8 people in there safely with seatbelts, go ahead and do it. Bring it out.
Pretty good deal. You saw the website on your screen there to buy tickets. But if they want to learn more about the show, your website as well?
Yeah, the show does have more information. It also has links back to the Facebook page, which has even more information about the show and what it's about and, you know, what we're doing here. But essentially, Cabin Fever is all about, hey, we all feel cooped up, right?
Yeah.
This gives us an opportunity to come out and be safe. You can stay in your car. We run off an FM modulator. So not only do you have external music, but if you want to sit in your car and be safe, you can certainly do that.
There you go. Jeremy, thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us
We
this
appreciate
morning.
you. Aloha.
Cabin Fever Laser Light Show happening this month here at Aloha Stadium. For now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Casey. Looking like you're having a lot of fun out there. Very early in the mornings when he filmed that story. You went to the Christmas one.
Yeah, the drive-through Christmas light show, that was really cool. I mean, it was a great use of space for the stadium.
Yeah, I'm glad it's getting some use, but those lights were intense.
Yeah.
I gotta say. You guys, the weekend is here.
Yay.
Yes. Have a good one. We'll be back here on Monday for This Is Now. Don't forget we're podcasting all the time. Find our podcast anywhere you find your podcasts.
See ya.